Hey everybody, it's Dungeons and Dabbing back with another video, and this time I'm here ranking the Elden Ring DLC bosses from easiest to hardest. So I got about 35 hours into this DLC. I've beaten every boss and I'm on my second go through of this, so this ranking is going to be my day one impressions. Maybe down the line I'll revise this list and add the base game, but for now this is going to be my blind first playthrough rankings. So with that being said, I'm sure some of you have some varying opinions on the matter, and I know that will get ironed out as time passes. It's only been out for a week, but I will say Shadow of the Erdtree is an amazing DLC. It's hard as nails for sure, and there's definitely some weak spots in the boss design I feel, but overall, I'm having a blast learning patterns and getting heated over close deaths, then ultimately prevailing. This is why I love Dark Souls, and this is why I love Elden Ring. I got 12 bosses to go through today, and I'm gonna rank them easiest to hardest. First time seeing them, simple. I'm curious to see how these change down the line, if they do at all, but let's get into this now because I'm pumped to talk about these guys, so let's go. Alright, starting off with the bottom of the barrel in terms of difficulty, here we have Romina, Saint of the Bud. Shit, you know with a name like that, she's probably packing a little potent in that pocket of hers, you know what I mean? I enjoyed this fight, so the difficulty itself really wasn't too bad. I felt this is a fair fight all around. Pretty easy to read combos and a few punish windows for the melee guys out there, and on top of everything I just said, even with the Scarlet Rot, she's really not putting out major numbers in terms of damage, so it's real easy to manage. I would just heal through it all. Her butterflies are easy to avoid. Her attacks have what seem to be very generous hitboxes because I felt like I was sloppy sometimes and still rolled through it all. She does have a lot of wide swings and twists and shit, so I could see how it might trip some up trying to get a grasp of it. Also, her centipede friends, yeah, they're very quick. And there's a lot of shit like that with these bosses. Some of the startup animations I feel like are hyperspeed, but definitely, this is the easiest boss I had for me in the DLC. And I'm real glad that one of the fights needed to burn the tree was more welcoming, because the later entry is cooking with fire, literally. Alright, up next I got a quick entry for you. I got the first boss we probably all came across, and that's Divine Beast Dancing Lion. So I want to say that yeah, I put this guy second easiest boss in my opinion, but I don't necessarily think he's an easy boss. Like most of the DLC, he's big, and he does these crazy twists with lightning blast and frost windstorms, so it's legit fun fighting the lion if you could see what you're fucking doing. But I do see this boss being high up on boss quality rankings. With that being said, his attacks, while being fast and quick and sporadic, are relatively easy to dodge. The lightning isn't too much to worry about either, but I think the one concern that we all have with this fight is 1, frost buildup, and 2, the camera. The camera isn't that bad in this fight, like it's not terrible, but it definitely can be sometimes with the mixture of the bad angles and frost procs that will definitely put the last nail in your coffin. But overall, I think Divine Beast is a very nice addition to Elden Ring. Small challenge with great music and aesthetics so pleasing you forget about that shitty camera. That's okay in my book.
Hip? Hip hop? Hip hop Anonymous? Damn you! You get him the easy one!
Alright, next up we got the Hungry Hippo here, the Golden Hippopotamus. It's a weird entry for me, so I wouldn't say this boss is difficult by looking at its moveset, but it has difficult situations in it, and it has mechanics built into this fight that make it difficult for me. Number 1 being the size and the mobility of this motherfucker. I can't tell you how many times I got locked into that little shit corner of the boss room. And I know Miyazaki made that corner just for us to get caught in. There's a little nook just in the corner of the room, and it's like the boss forces you into that shit every time like you're some toddler who just got in trouble. He's flipping around so much that the camera's all wonky on top of that. That mixed with the open mouth charge that seems to be undodgeable, and you have yourself a fight that will take some lives off you. I mean, for real, look at this shit. What is that? And look at this poor fuck. A shit attack to say the least. The second phase is even wilder, with the hippo now cosplaying as a damn porcupine, and he'll quill the shit out of you before you even have a chance to scream at the TV. But if you buckle down, stay out of that shit corner, take 1 or 2 shots at a time, and you'll see this boss isn't higher up on the difficulty ladder. Also, I wouldn't say that this is a fun fight, but we'll see how things go down the line. I really only had a handful of attempts against the hippo, but I'm curious to see how my second go around with him goes. All in all, we have a mid-boss with an iffy camera and some wild attacks. Number 9 on my list of the hardest DLC bosses, I have the Shadow Tree Avatar. At first I thought it was Skidoo Tree, and every single time I said Skidoo, I would think of this.
Skidoo, we can do.
So this fight surprised me. Design-wise, I love the look of this boss, but my main concern are those thorns. I don't know about y'all, but I couldn't see shit half the time, and every single time that bitch threw thorns at me, and they shot up right in front of my camera, completely hindering my view of the avatar. And I know it's probably an intended mechanic to blur your vision, but I really hate that. When I'm fighting a boss, I need to be able to see what I'm doing. And I get that in real life, if somebody were to throw thorns at me and hinder my view, I wouldn't be able to see, but whatever. After completing the DLC, I realized that you can just jump over them, which really helps with your vision, so knowledge is king, folks. First phase is okay, barely any health on the tree, so I recommend just going for the face. My first few attempts I was going for the legs and I got pummeled by thorns so many times that I just said fuck it. But if you just stay in front of him and dodge his attacks, he'll give you his head for an opening afterwards, so it's all good. Once the first health bar is down, you have a chance to riposte him for a quarter of his health gone in the second phase, which is great, because phase 2 gets a little bit more tricky, for me at least. The tree being so quick and all of those thorn attacks, I mean seriously dude. This tree's quick. When it comes back to lunge at you in those 3 little lunges, dude, that is reaction at its finest. I found myself punishing one attack, the double sweep into a slam down. I would wait for the double sweep, dodge both of those, and then he would come in with a slam down with thorns coming up after. You just run around that and you can get a jumping attack right on its face. When I found out there was a third phase, I was like, fuck. But third phase is easier. He has mostly the same attacks, but he'll charge up and release this mega energy burst, and during his recovery, you can just nail him down. At the end of the day, I would call this boss annoying, and that could be difficult, but not any higher than 9. Alright, number 8 on my list, I have Midra, Lord of Frenzied Flame. And I feel like this entry is a little bit personal for me, because my first few attempts against Midra, I was getting my shit kicked in, so I thought I was going to be in for it. But I found a lot of the moves to be really avoidable, and I don't know, maybe my build was just particularly good for this fight, but just charging heavies up would break his posture so easily it seemed. But really, first phase isn't too much to write home about, just basic sword attacks and some frenzied flame spells, but second phase is when it adds some shit to the mix. Some extra AoE blast on his attacks that are difficult to dodge. He's got frenzied on his sword now, and then just all around quicker, I feel. The fight has a lot going on, but optimization is key, and if you could find the right way to go about this fight, it could be learned and mastered faster than other fights on this list. But all in all, I really recommend charging heavies up for the stagger, but for my next run through I'm going to use a different weapon, so we'll see how he places 6 months from now, because I only had a handful of attempts against him, so it may change. Alright, so number 7, I got Meter. I have the Mother of Fingers. So personally, I really think this is one of those bosses that the difficulty is based on your build. If you have magic, you're fine. Melee users will have a little bit of trouble with this boss considering there's so many AoE blasts and attacks that force you to run and dodge constantly from afar that your attack windows are slim. When I attempted to kill Miss Tickles with the Star Fist, I was getting real frustrated because I would find openings to attack, but half the time I would miss. I just didn't have the reach. Again, something that could be fixed with another weapon, so yeah, this boss can be hard if you make it hard. But the attacks themselves are somewhat manageable. Again, my strat was to charge as many heavies as I could to break her posture. Basically with phase 1, it's just you and the mother. You really gotta stay in front of her too, because anytime you're on her side, chances are you will get tickled. I found myself waiting for her jumping head slam, or I guess it's a finger slam, and then I would punish that. So second phase is where I think it gets a little fucked for melee guys. She rises up in this crazy, almost godlike scene with this orb emitting some powerful magic all around. I mean, if you have spells, you can easily stand in one spot and spam magic at her to clear her out. But if you don't have any spells like I did, you're just gonna have to wait until she drops to get some damage in. But it's consistent summoning of bullshit all around. Either magic orbs that you gotta weave in and out while dodging any attacks Mother throws at you. I mean, it really is constant. It feels like a full minute went by before I got to do one attack. And I guess that's okay, but with the little hands that you get, the orbs, the AoE, the blast, the ring of magic, I mean, it's a lot for a melee guy to take in. Was it worth learning the patterns? Well, yeah, I mean, this is a good fight that I enjoyed. But I sure as hell am gonna shit down her throat with spells next time. But I respect you, Mother. I respect you. You bitch. We are officially in the latter half of this list, so I believe these next 6, with the exception of one, have true fair difficulty to them, where you actually needed to buckle down and learn the moves and not fuck around. So number 6, I have the Putrescent Knight. I mean, really, it's the delayed attacks for me. I don't think his moveset is super crazy, but he's quick 1 second and then has this major windup another second. So the dodging needs to be on point, or your timing is going to be so fucked to the point where you're literally spam rolling all fight. I actually needed a shield for this fight, and you can notice how foreign it is for me to get the shield out and block in the middle of a fight. I was fucking my buttons up so much. But pulling the shield out to block the Magic Frost was a big win for me. It made this fight a lot more relaxed, we'll say. Because a few of those moves got on my nerves. One move is where he jumps off his horse and does a few spin attacks and then slams, and then the horse pops up twice. Man, I got that down pat, and then once I did, I noticed it wasn't the same timing anymore. Sometimes the horse comes up closer than he normally does, so it's really a reaction-based move and not muscle memory. That could really soil a fight for some people. On top of that, personally, my weapon was failing me more times than not. I would go in for a hit and the horse gets up on his hind legs right as I'm swinging, so I completely whiff. Just horrible. Imagine trying to best a boss with only 70% of your attacks landing. Fuck me, right? But if you can pick up on the timing of his combos, the rest should be a breeze. Take a shield out if you're worried about the Magic Frost, but the main thing you want to learn is when he breaks his combos, because you can dodge, get a couple hits in, dodge again, and then do the same thing. But if you're like me, just roll into everything every time, well, you might just not have that much fun with this guy. Disclaimer here, do not like this guy. So, by far my least favorite boss of the DLC, actually probably the only boss I don't like at all, and that's Commander Gaius. I don't know what to say. His first charge he does, I can dodge it maybe 60% of the time, which is whatever. But the other charge he does, I cannot dodge at all. One time I dodged backwards and I didn't get hit, but I don't know why that would be the case. I really think this boss has some funky hitboxes, and that makes this fight unbearable for me. Truly not fun. A mixture of a short-ranged weapon and an over-aggressive playstyle maybe, but I despise this guy just a little bit. Phase 1, his attacks are simple but effective. So Gaius is on his hog, swinging his lance while the hog's trying to slam you repeatedly. And I do get the dodging down, but the shape of the hog itself is making it so I was missing everything again. Like I always do. And on top of all that, when you dodge through the attacks, you end up behind the hog, and before you can even think, he's kicking the shit out you. If you can manage to get into phase 2 without popping a few blood vessels, then it gets crazier from then on. When phase 2 starts, you're gonna see him rise up and gather all this energy and come crashing down, and the only way I found to dodge it was to get on Torrent and ride away. I think maybe Horsepack was intended for this fight, but I just don't do the Horseback combat, so I didn't even really think about it at first. But basically, if you had any trouble in phase 1, phase 2 is gonna crush your fucking nuts with high heals, cause goddamn, he don't let up. He can send meteor blasts at you and then charge you while you're dodging that attack. If you can dodge his 3 swing attack and get some damage in, dodge the pig slam, get another hit in and back up, that's the strat that's gonna take you to the promised land. Cause it's either you take this guy out in 2 minutes or it's a 6-minute slugfest. They would lock 5 tree frags behind this guy as well to make him more enticing, but legit, it's not fun. It's a difficult fight for me. See ya, Gaius. Alright, 4th hardest boss in Shadow of the Erdtree for me is Relana, Twin Moon Knight. So this was the first boss that I came across. When I got to that site of grace by the crossroads, I went right instead, and I ended up in Castle Ensis. I kind of had an idea that I was in the wrong place, but I just kept going, finally reaching Relana in the process. And once I started fighting her, I wasn't leaving until it was done. This was a tough fight for me, really the first fuck you I had in the DLC. My main issue was my dodge rolling, so I had a habit of dodging right after I hit her to get my spacing back, but that was actually the worst thing to do because she spins constantly. But if you just stay in one spot, you can actually dodge her next attack after her backspin. If I was rolling, I got caught half the time and it really messed me up. My only strat was roll opposite from her, so if she was coming from the right, I'm dodging back left and vice versa. Seemed to be the only consistency I can get dodging her attacks. But still it was a trip, because you see, so she can come up with both swords and it's either a double cross with a major closing distance, or she'll backspin into a poke, which then chains into another combo, and it's like her combos evolve right in front of your eyes. A lot of the bosses on this list are like that. The different combinations of attack are crazy, plus the fact that she has homing missiles and a huge magic blade slam and sweep. I was able to find a few attacks that I felt comfortable punishing. One where she would lunge at you with a double sweep and then stop just for a second to prep her attack, which allows you to get position and then jump over it for a nice punish. Another one is the double cross she does. You just gotta be careful because she doesn't always do the cross. She'll transition into another combo sometimes. This is a pattern fight. Gotta learn the combos and the what ifs involved in her combo chains. Also, when she sends homing missiles from her waist, it's an easy dodge to the right and then forward for another punish. Very satisfying once you get the fight down. I feel like this fight is a dance. I mean, we're tangoing for Christ's sakes. Second phase, take everything I just said and then add a hammer fist to the top of your head because that's what it feels like. When she imbues her sword with magic and fire, she can open with one of two attacks, and I don't know about you, but the magic one sucks to dodge. So my advice is to stay close, get some hits in, and make sure that she does the fire dance, because even if you take some fire damage, it beats the hell out of dying to her glintstone arcs. I don't know what causes her to do one versus another, but it's without a doubt the second hardest dodge for me, the first being the moons. I mean, look at this move. It's a great spectacle for sure, but damn, if you see this at the wrong time, you might as well just put the controller down. My strat was straight up. Get staggers. Thank God I got some at the best times, but this was a long learning process for me, but a great one for sure. Definitely a hard boss. Definitely a hard boss.
Of the abyssal serpent, shorn of light.
Third hardest boss of the DLC is none other than Mesmer the Impaler. So this guy's got a lot going for him. He's got a great name, is actually a huge snake, controls some gnarly fire. I mean, this guy is cool. I almost don't want to fight him. And I really didn't want to fight him after the first few attempts. See, my problem with a lot of these bosses is me. It's my playstyle that messes everything up. I always go in for an extra hit, heal when I'm not supposed to, just everything you really shouldn't do when trying to beat an intense boss. And that's why I'll never do no-hit runs of these games, and I do boss rankings. I feel like I have put myself in my place. Also, I don't have the patience for it. I'm sure I could, just like a lot of you could, but honestly, I'd rather take those 3 years and add them to the end of my life instead of dying of stress. But that's just me, and any guy that no-hits these games is a fucking stud in my opinion. Not sexually though, I'm more referring to the stature, kind of like Bo Jackson in the 80s, you know, solid. So with that out of the way, Mesmer has great combos to evade. I love the opening and the different pokes and sweeps. He's throwing fire and has these 50 fire stabs and twists and jumps, slams and explosions. I mean shit, how's your computer holding up? The attacks I always look out for are the backspin. If I see a backspin, I know he's gonna drag his weapon, then fling it up. Easy punish. If I see him throw fire, I know he's poking. Now after the poke, he could poke more, or he could go right into that combo that I just said. So it's a loop you gotta figure out and obviously be reactive to it. Once you get the timing, it's just dodge in, wait, dodge in, and it's all avoided. You need to master phase 1 to have a chance in phase 2, because he'll do all that in this phase in between summoning his snake, so it's a lot to process. If you can dodge the snake attacks, there's a window to punish after every one, then it's just Mesmer back to his old moves, just with one lunging spinning attack that's added to the end of his chains, but that's the punishable one. So it's crucial to learn the direction you need to dodge, and which I think is back, but ever so slightly left. Sometimes I get caught dodging straight back. These top 4 fights to me, all of them, hard to learn, but once you do, this becomes an amazing fight that is nothing but satisfying all around. Fair difficulty even though it's real tough. I love this fight. So with this next entry, I truly think we're seeing FromSoft at their best. This is peak boss fight right here. Bale the Dread. Dude, it's gotta be one of the best boss names I have ever heard. I don't know why I think of Bane when I hear Bale, but the name is incredible. Miyazaki, you were cooking on this one, weren't you? I mean, we all know, Dragon Fight in the DLC, it's gonna be hard. This fight is a banger from start to finish. This fight and the next one, you gotta be almost perfect. It's like you either finish the fight with 10 Estus left or you die a minute in. With this fight, I got it down pretty good. I found my attack windows and dodging patterns, but legit, this boss has so many moves. It'll dash at you, then could tail whip, could not tail whip, might fly in the air, might blow fire down at you, could possibly do a double sweep, might chomp you, and possibly slam his wing down for an AoE. That's all possible after one move. His combo strings are like a fucking game of Mortal Kombat. I mean, it's a lot. So you really got to learn all of them and kind of put it in the back of your mind at all times that this could go this way or it could go that way and be ready for it. That's a lot to ask for the average player, I feel. And this is phase 1. But then again, I know a lot of you masochists out there aren't the average player. I mean, it's From Software we're talking about. If you've been here for the ride, you've seen some shit. But regardless, you learned phase 1, now we're in phase 2. So this dragon summons the most crazy amount of fire I've ever seen a graphics card handle, then flying up, all while fireballs shooting at you, then crashes down with a shit ton of lightning and fire exploding all around you. I mean, shit, this is without a doubt the best looking fight in my opinion. I know this isn't a quality ranking, but I'm impressed with the level of craftsmanship involved in this fight. It's fair, but long, and it's fast paced, and it's loud, and there's so much going on, it's amazing. You couldn't have such a grand fight without the same high level of difficulty. It just wouldn't match up to have this big spectacle, but he dies in a minute. You know what I mean? But anyways, in his second phase, the main shtick is most of his attacks now have secondary blasts that you gotta roll or jump out of. I took this as an opportunity to get some punish in, because I could dodge the initial attack and then follow up with a jumping attack, so I didn't mind this. I appreciate the difficulty of this boss. It really solidifies the DLC for me to again supply us with one hell of a dragon fight. 10 out of 10 fight, has to be my favorite boss fight of the DLC by far, but it's the second hardest one that we've seen in Shadow of the Erdtree.
To I, Nicola, and my promised consort, Radahn.
Alright, so obviously I got number 1 as Radahn. This fight right here, man, I mean, this fight is tough. This shit is tough. It's tough. I've never been so focused in my life, staring at one spot in his chest, trying to decipher which moveset he's going into based on how he starts up. Laser focus you need.
Laser.
Once you do get that down and you can kind of read what's coming next, that's the easiest part, by far. I'm not even going to get into phase 1 that much, because I know that you all can handle it, but phase 2 really gets wild. Like if you're epileptic, you might as well try to fight this guy in Braille, because he's flashier than a trans burlesque show. But seriously, let's talk numbers. Number 2 spot, I had Bale. I cleared him under 10 attempts, and I know that fight well. Radahn, fuck. Took me 3 hours just to really learn his melee moveset. I had to put the controller down and go to bed, which brings me to another point, guys. If you are getting tilted, take a break. I woke up fresh, made a coffee, made my baby some breakfast, sat him in his high chair, and I beat Radahn second try. It was so poetic, my son was snapping in his seat for me. The main string you gotta learn is this. So if he comes in with his right overhand, he'll follow up with 2 quick sweeps and can either double arm slam with a delayed AoE, which can be punished, or he'll go into another combo with his quicker slash and spin combo, which then could be punished too. Just make sure you end up on his right side, because I found if you end up on his left, he'll come in for another hit, but it can be punished as well. Or he can foot stomp, which resets the whole string, and he can go back into anything that I just said. That's the combo string you gotta learn, and it's tough. Because you gotta dodge a lot of attacks for one punish, and that string will carry through the whole fight. Other punish opportunities are his spiral gravity slam. Also, he does a front flip slam, but you gotta be careful with that one, because if you move in too quickly, he'll do another flip to punish you. He'll charge up his gravity and attempt to pull you in, which can be rolled out of. But if you do get caught, immediately run backwards and dodge back twice and you'll avoid it all. That's phase 1 in a nutshell. Now let's get nasty. This phase humbled me. Like, I know I'm not the best player in the world. I'm no challenger speedrunner or anything like that. But when I put the controller down after that 3-hour tirade, I really said to myself, man, he's just doing too much. I don't know if I could do this. I just couldn't see what to do. Everything was coming out so fast it felt like I didn't have a chance to think. He's literally flickering with attacks that I realized you need to spam the roll button to not get caught. This fight is different than anything I've ever fought. I've never had to actually spam the dodge button so fast to dodge a move. I got confused, especially when I'm trained to dodge into all of his attacks. Until he does his flickering bullshit, then it's specific directions you gotta dodge in. It kind of reminded me of Sekiro just a tad. You got all this bullshit to worry about, and then at any time, you might need to jump a perilous attack or dodge forward for a Makiri counter. I mean, this ain't the fucking Taurus demon here. We have some substance going on. The key to getting confidence in this fight is dodging his second phase attacks just once. You gotta actually physically know where and when to dodge to get it. You can watch all the videos in the world, but until you actually dodge a crazy move and not take any damage and say to yourself, oh shit, you gotta dodge left, left, then forward, that's when you're gonna beat Radahn. All of his holy arcs are easy to dodge forward. His combo string is the same, so if you're dodging the same as in phase 1, you won't get hit and you can still punish. The main problem I had with phase 2 is all the extra flickery moves. The fact that if you do get caught once, it's almost impossible to recover. And his Star Blast, I don't know how to dodge it. I did once, but never did it again. After putting Morgoth's Great Rune on, I felt a little bit better in this fight, but after clearing him, I reloaded my save to do it again without the Great Rune and was able to do it back to back, so I'm confident that if you guys can just get him down once, you'll never have an issue again. But holy shit, that's all I can say when coming to a conclusion on this boss. One hell of a fight that I am glad that I took the time to learn, but fuck, this was a tough one. Absolutely the hardest boss in Shadow of the Erdtree DLC is promised Consort Radahn. Alright guys, I hope you liked my list. That was my boss rankings of Shadow of the Erdtree DLC bosses from easiest to hardest. Like this video and let me know if you want to see more from me because I will be working on more Elden Ring content for the future. I have scripts written for multiple boss rankings. I'm ready to get the base game in here. I'm doing Sekiro. I already did Bloodborne. I might be hitting Dark Souls and I got a few Let's Plays on the horizon. So check it out if you want to see more. I just started making these videos and I'm really getting into them. So let me know guys. Thank you.